The end of the year is upon us, and with it comes talk about best and worst games of the year, what we're looking forward to for next year, and of course, reminiscing over the year that was. What were some moments that stuck out in gaming? Was it the reveals of the next Sony and Microsoft systems? Was it Microsoft's constant backpedaling? Or are you looking back fondly over some very well-received games like BioShock Infinite or Grand Theft Auto 5? We'll recap the year for you and see what's on the horizon for the video game industry. We've reached the end of another level. Another objective has been completed. It's our season finale of downloadable content. And welcome to the end of the journey, at least for this year, of downloadable content, our season finale. And who better to have the year end than with the double Rons? We have Ron.
Hi.
And Ronny.
Greetings.
We have a much, much smaller panel than we did for the previous episode I recorded today. Oh, good lord. So that's the Final Fantasy offshoot episode. If you haven't listened to it, shame on you! Go listen to it. Download it now. It's on iTunes and YouTube and Stitcher. You have no excuse. Go get it.
I'm pretty sure there's a buried fuck, I was gonna make a joke and then lost the joke.
You had the punchline and you cut yourself off.
It'll come back to you.
What was the name of the country where they found all those Doctor Who tapes recently?
Ethiopia.
I'm pretty sure some downloadable content episodes in Ethiopia is buried somewhere.
In a box with a masking tape with a label on it that doesn't match the contents.
Exactly.
So, be that as it may, it is our season finale. This is the 24th episode of the year. It's our last one. And it's a general, wrap-up sort of episode, as we are wont to do. It's, reaching, now we start looking at what was the best things that happened, worst things that happened, good games, bad games, industry fuck-ups, industry good moments, things of that particular nature. So, with that said, let us dive right in. We'll start with the bests of 2013. We'll start off with games, and we can break this up a bit. We can do overall game and indie game. We can break it down by genre or whatever. For me personally, I didn't play a whole lot of games that came out this year, but of the ones that I did play, my personal favorite still goes to BioShock Infinite.
Not surprising. BioShock was probably going to be my game for Game of the Year, personally.
I think it's going to be a toss-up, though, when the magazines are all said and done. We have Grand Theft Auto 5, which is just raking in everything.
Yeah.
Even though it's not particularly my cup of tea, I don't really care for the Grand Theft Auto series. But a lot of people do, apparently, because it's made over $1 billion now at this point.
A lot of people are up on that series. Honestly, I can say, at least from looking at sales from where I work, I would say Grand Theft Auto has outsold BioShock Infinite, at least when it first came out.
Yeah. Although
that means that's anecdotal evidence. It means nothing, but just from how much demand there was.
I feel like we should put the addendum in there is that as we're recording this, there's still like a couple AAA titles that get to be released, aka Battlefield 4 and Call of Duty Ghosts. So that $1 billion figure, you can probably apply to each of those games.
Oh, yeah.
No, yes, because I keep making a rant about that. I'm not going to make that rant this episode of.
Well, here's the thing, Brian. I think what they really need to do is they need to take those titles and they just need to put the year in that title, like they do with the sports games, and then maybe you'll feel better about it.
I think I actually would. You're probably right, because it's basically like we get a new Call of Duty and a Battlefield every year. So
I'll say Call of Duty 2K14.
Well, to be fair, actually, the Battlefield series does take its time to make. It's just that they're making the game at the exact same time when Call of Duty is doing its yearly turning out a title. That's all.
And and as an aside, I feel the same way toward Call of Duty as I do sports titles. They keep charging $60 per year for what is essentially a roster update.
And I was gonna say, for me and Deja, the only game we play that does something like that is the wrestling games, the WWE ones. But at least then we're paying for a different storyline in every game.
It's very true.
You don't quite have a story mode in the NFL games. Kind of.
Not particularly. No, not that I can think of. The only people that I know that can probably make a loose plot out of a sports title is Nintendo.
Yeah, I would play that.
But I mean, Ronny, I know that you've played a lot of indie games. I don't know so much about AAA games this year.
Oh yeah.
So what?
I'm gonna cheat a little bit on what my favorite indie game of the year is.
Okay.
Because technically, its first release came out at the end of last year, but all of its releases on the consoles came out this year.
All right, I can go with that.
I'm going to go with Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams, a game that I was passionate about to make my own online review of it. Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams is just an amazing old school platformer, and I enjoyed the hell out of that game. And you can get it for cheap. You should go play it.
What's it on?
It is on everything.
Oh, one of those. Okay, it's on.
It's on Steam, it's on Xbox 360, it's on PS3, and it's on the eShop.
Oh, wow, it actually made it to Nintendo.
Yep, not only on the Wii U, though, not on the original Wii.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Wii has kind of been dead to Nintendo the moment the Wii U came out, so...
Wait, I know it's a little bit out of order, but I need to tell you the thing that made me most excited this year.
Go ahead.
Talking about the Wii U. The fact that Earthbound is now on the eShop. You can get the original Earthbound.
I heard that, and a lot of people were ecstatic.
I am ecstatic. If anybody on this podcast is too young to know what Earthbound means, you need to go Google it, then you need to go buy it, and then you need to go play it, and then you can listen to the rest of this podcast.
So, there you go. Ronny has commanded all of you.
We'll wait. You can pause it. Okay, we can continue.
Oh,
They'll thank us for it.
And then I'll get the floods of emails. You're like, thank you, Sir Ronny. We listened.
I was blind, but now I see.
I was gonna say that Nintendo will be contacting us. There was a spike in Earthbound sales. We didn't know what it was. We found out it was your podcast.
It's royalties.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. We'll be shouting.
We don't do it for the money. We do it to share the good gameplay.
Yes, we most certainly do. My favorite indie game, certainly for this year, was Battle Block Theater.
I heard that was good. I haven't played it yet.
Do you own a 360?
Yes, I do.
It is on the Xbox Live.
Yeah, I should probably connect my Xbox up to the internet at some point.
Eventually, yeah.
I was going to say, none of my systems are connected to the internet.
In fact, actually, it's only available on Xbox Live. So
That would probably be why I didn't pick it up when you recommended it before. Now that I'm thinking about it.
it's one of the most hilarious platforming games I have ever played. Nothing like having a narrator that insults you as you're playing it. It's a...
Wait, this is by a group that did another big indie title. What was their other title?
Well, this is made by the Behemoth. They've done Castle Crashers and
Yep.
Alien Hominid.
Yep, Castle Crash. Castle Crash is what I was thinking of. Is by them.
Another very well-received game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, yes.
And I have Castle Crashers, but I realized very early on that it's quite difficult on single player. It's meant for multiplayer.
You and I should play that sometime, because I have it on my Steam. Unless you have it on, like, 360.
I have it on 360.
Oh, well. Next time it's on, like, a 99-cent sale, I'll pick it up for you and we can play it.
Okay. I can do that. I can do that. I'm just trying to think of some other notable titles, because, again, being in school means I had very, very...
I was going to say, I've done a lot more playing this year than I did in previous years recently, but a lot of it is me playing backlog titles, not current titles. Like you said, most of my current titles were indie games, and like I said, Yana Sisters was the top of the barrel for that for me. I really enjoyed that game.
I mean,
I can talk about that, but I don't want to hold things up.
Another game that I played that came out this year was early this year, Dead Space 3. Again, a lot of sequels going around.
Well, as it gets closer to the release of the new systems, the sequelitis gets worse and worse, and the only thing that can cure sequelitis is a new console.
Well, if you've seen the launch titles for PS4 and Xbox One, the franchise spam continues. So,
yes, the franchise spam is always going to continue, but I guarantee there will be more as it gets closer to release. And the first 6 months after release, we're going to see more new titles than we have in the last 3 years.
So I hope. Dead Space 3, it's starting, I think, to go the way of Resident Evil, which disappoints me.
Now, are you saying the way of Resident Evil 4 or the way of Resident Evil 6?
Late Resident Evil in general.
Okay. Well, because I thought you said Resident Evil 4 was a masterpiece.
I am.
Oh.
And I still think that. Resident Evil 5 and 6, however, decided to abuse the privilege.
I've yet to play Resident Evil 6 other than what you've shown me, but everything I've read about it, everything I've seen about it, every video I've seen of it, every single bit of story I got from it makes me go, how did fanfiction writers get their hands on Resident Evil and get to make a game? Holy crap.
It could have been far, far worse. Dead Space 3 was okay. And that's probably as best as I could say about it. It was okay. And I was fine with how the game was going along up until the very, very end of the game. In which basically the entire justification for the story gets thrown right out the crapper. Basically, it sets you up for a Dead Space 4, and I'm just like, fucking hell! Can't a series go off into the sunset gracefully? Well, no.
No, if it makes money, no.
No, of course not. I mean, that'd be asking too much from a writerly standpoint. You can't have a series end gracefully. You have to do what Capcom does and beat it until you cannot extract a single penny further.
I think you'd beat it some more.
More or less, yes. Ron, what about you? Any other good games that came out this year that are particularly noteworthy?
I'm just going through like Wikipedia, being like, oh, what was released in 2013, trying to refresh my memory. I had to play it just mainly just due to financial reasons, but I've heard many good things about Dragon's Crown.
I do want to play that.
Ronny, if you haven't heard this is the like bash up like Dungeons and Dragons like Mist of Arcadia or Tower of Mysteria type of thing, like this, like your old arcade stuff.
When you almost said Skies of Arcadia there, you nearly had me going to pick it up right now.
No, it's Tower of Mysteria. But it's like the old like arcade, like the X-Men and the Dungeons and Dragons.
The stuff I grew up with.
Yeah. Only it's on a console.
What's it called?
Dragon's Crown. It's for the PS3 and the PS Vita.
Okay, I am looking it up. Oh wait, PS3.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't have it.
Vita.
That's the one system I don't have. So.
It is. There's on Vita too. So.
That because looking at it, and actually, if it's yes, I know what this is. There's the boob sorcerer.
That's true.
I saw a video of this when they first announced it, and it totally sold me on the game already.
Okay, I heard good things about it.
It looked like a freaking awesome.
It's the 90s all over again.
Yeah. I'm going to propose this to you guys. You can say if it's a new game or not. The Kingdom Hearts HD remix, is that just a remake you're fine with saying it's Kingdom Hearts? Go play it?
It's a remake of the original Kingdom Hearts. Yeah. So.
Go play it.
Woo. It's.
Yeah.
I have a friend right now who is so excited about it. And I don't blame him. It's his favorite game. Kingdom Hearts is his favorite game series. I will probably pick it up because I've always liked the idea of Kingdom Hearts, but the combat in the original Kingdom Hearts kind of turned me off.
Really?
Yeah. It was buggy as hell during a couple of the worlds, and it got frustrating enough that it wasn't worth continuing to play.
All right. Fair enough.
It wasn't like the combat was difficult, but it was buggy, and that was the issue.
All right.
What I know a lot of my friends enjoyed the Devil May Cry reboot that came out earlier this year.
I've heard about it. I haven't really played it, so I can't really comment too much on that.
I played the original Devil May Cry and the second one, but I never continued through the series, so... I do think we'd be remiss not to mention the games that just came out this week.
As of recording, yes.
As of the recording.
As of the recording, are you talking about the Pokemon algebraic notation games?
That would be exactly it. That is Pokemon to the third power and Pokemon Pi.
Yes, Pokemon X and Y, which came out so far.
Yesterday.
It's coming. There's been tons of happiness.
Oh yes, I haven't seen this many. I was about to say, I haven't seen this much positive stuff about Pokemon in years, but that's not true. I heard about just about this much positive stuff about Black and White. It's good that they've been able to keep it going, because the Pokemon series have kind of been in a downward turn up until Black and White came out, and it's good to see they're keeping it up.
This game, from what I've been seeing about Pokemon X and Y, it looks like that it deviates from its standard play enough to actually make it look like a new and interesting game, while still keeping a lot of the familiar elements intact, which means that I actually, I haven't played a Pokemon game in years, because after Red, Blue, Gold, and Silver, I kind of was like, okay, same formula for 4 straight games.
If you want to switch the formula up, you should try Black. You should look at Black and White as well.
So, from what I've been seeing and reading about Pokemon X and Y, it actually might make me pick up Pokemon again. After being 7-8 years away from the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, worst games of 2013.
I haven't really heard many good things about Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, I'm hearing that it's kind of one of those games that either you love it or hate it.
Yeah.
With more on the hate side.
Yeah. It's... I guess, like, what I'm saying is, like, they really enjoyed the voice acting part, but it's just, like, everything else, they're kind of, like, bleh.
It's kind of gotten mixed reviews.
Mm-hmm.
All around. I mean, usually, between 6 and 7 out of 10 in most places. Looking at the review scores now, when the hell did Forbes get into the act of reviewing video games?
Relatively recently, I think.
I mean, GameSpot gave it a 9, but that's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been hearing a lot of...
I was gonna say I can't really jump in because I haven't. There hasn't been enough time for me to play enough games for me to play crappy games.
My understanding is that the Wii U game, the Wonderful 101.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that's not very good either.
Which, the thing is, it looked so promising at E3. I'm like, This could be interesting, but again, I don't know if that is so much a bad game or the fact that Nintendo itself hasn't been...
There's also the fact that no one knows how to play it on a Wii U. Because I'm pretty sure there's like all 5 people that actually own the system. Let's see what else came out. There was a game that was released that I know, Brian, since you read the Game Informer, you might remember the title. They gave it like a 3 out of 10.
Oh, it was recent too. I remember.
It was some like shooting bike game.
I get Game Informer as well, and I know what you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue.
It was just recently released too. I know. It's like, wait a minute.
I got my Game Informer.
It's like a
right.
Mexican. It's like a Mexican name too, isn't it? It's a swear it's a Mexican name on it. No.
Was it?
I know it was for I think it was for the PS3 and Xbox.
I think, was it Ride to Hell?
That might be it.
It's a kind of a motorcycle.
Ride to Hell Retribution. I have it right here.
That's it.
They gave it a 2.
Okay. Okay. I decided it was pretty bad.
I'll say for a magazine that generally falls for the 4-point scale of rating things 6 to 10. Holy crap! They gave it a 2. and wait, I'll say the first line of it. Ride to Hell Retribution occasionally resembles an actual video game. You can sometimes move around and shoot things. Occasionally.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to look through here.
Oh my god, a Call of Duty got a 3. It was the one that came out for the Vita. That was almost a year ago, Call of Duty Black Ops, but whatever the case may be.
So, oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm looking. Diablo 3 was released for consoles, and I heard that that's actually much better than the PC version, which is...
I've never gotten into the Diablo series. That was one of those that I passed over.
I've heard mixed things about the Bureau, XCOM Declassified.
Oh, how did I forget to bring up StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm? You guys can continue, I'm sorry.
You mean Korea's national pastime again?
Yeah.
I mean Kerrigan Strikes Back.
For good games, I'm going to mention Fire Emblem Awakening and Shin Megami Tensei 4 both for the 3DS. Like, you actually have, like, I swear to God, like, there's enough games in the 3DS now where I'm going to have to buy the goddamn system.
Or
And
get a 2DS for $40 cheaper.
yeah, I'm not getting a 2DS. I want the. I will pay $40 for the fact that I can put it in my pocket and not have this gigantic plastic brick.
Oh, you don't want the wedge?
I don't want the wedge. I don't want to mistake it for a door wedge. I put on my desktop for some reason.
The biggest issue that the size isn't the problem to me. The problem is since the 2DS does not close, if you drop it on cement, you are going to crack it or scratch it.
Exactly.
And it's great that that's what people are going to be paying for, not for the 3D, but so that they can close the goddamn system.
Yeah, that's what I'm paying for.
You just watch. I guarantee that in the next month or two, there's going to be a YouTube tutorial on how to take a 3DS shell and put your 2DS in it.
Probably.
In fact, it probably should be out by now.
Probably, yeah, as of this recording being launched. I'm looking like Neverwinter. I heard mixed things about too. That's a PC game, like a free-to-play MMO type thing. I've heard mixed things about that.
Okay.
Let's see. Leisure Suit Larry.
I hear that, and all I hear of the title of Leisure Suit Larry, and all I'd have to do is a suppressed tee.
Mm-hmm. But there's always a nice joke there.
Wasn't there a Sims game that came out this year?
Yes, there was a Sims game that came out this year in like February or March.
And I remember it being noteworthy because it crashed everything.
Yeah, SimCity. There's a game we can talk shit about. Oh my God, SimCity.
God, yeah. I can talk about this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, just the immense amount of bugs in the game when it was first released. The game was hardly freaking playable. You couldn't connect to the required online connection when the game first came out. Oh my freaking God. Like, I had it. I couldn't play it for like the first 3 weeks. You want to know what? By the time I could play it, I didn't care anymore.
All the hype and excitement had been drained out of you.
There's no, like, and it's not even like the game was built poorly, and then when people like delved into the code, they figured out why it was built poorly. EA kind of forced them to put the always online requirement and the small zone restrictions on the people.
Oh, the DRM crap again?
Yeah.
Everybody who thinks that always-on gaming is the way of the future needs to be drug out into the road and left there.
Yeah, Exhibit A of why always-on gaming is bad is SimCity.
You want to know what? I have a little story to tell you guys about why, and this isn't necessarily always-on gaming, but this is a great example of why always-on gaming is going to be a terrible thing. I work at Walmart, as you both may know. And in our back room, we had a copy of Tabula Rasa. 4 years after the game had gone under, Tabula Rasa was an MMO, for those of you who don't know. 4 years afterwards, sitting in our back room, because we couldn't send it away, and they kept trying to put it out, and I kept telling them, no, this is a game that is no longer playable. You cannot sell it to one of our customers. What is wrong with you? The fact that you could have a game you love. I love Tabula Rasa, by the way. It was the first thing to get me to care about an MMO other than World of Warcraft. And you can get passionate about a game that requires always on. But having a game that it requires an online connection means that if those servers ever go down, you're fucked. Excuse my language. Am I allowed to say that on this, Brian? Or do you?
Yes, yeah, I do not have a profanity filter.
Thank you. You're fucked.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'll say, and like the worst part is like There's certain games that, like, for MMOs, where if the servers do come down, there's usually a fan initiative where if there's enough fans of the game to still play it, like, they'll make, like, private servers, and you can play on the private servers, and, like, you continue to play the game.
A lot of times, yeah. Tabula Rasa was a very bad situation.
Yeah. Tabula Rasa you can't because I'm
The
sure
company,
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you know where, like, the company went under, the person lost the rights to it, and the guy could not buy the rights back to save his life.
The guy sued the frickin' company and got a couple million, but the company refused to give him the rights for the game.
Yeah.
It was a huge frickin' debacle, and it involved so many bad choices in so many ways that the company tried to screw things over, and the whole reason they won't release the server version of the game for people to use is entirely out of spite. I strongly believe that.
Wouldn't surprise me.
But nothing we can do about it. But that shows. This is what the problem is with Always On Gaming. You are buying software that is useless if something happens to the company, if they decide the game isn't profitable, if they decide to take those servers down. But you still paid for that. You are paying $60 for something that you may not be able to play. For an MMO, that is expected. That's not a good thing. That's one of the negatives of MMOs, but that's something you accept as part of it. That's not something you expect as part of SimCity. You expect to be able to continue to... I can throw SimCity in my Super Nintendo right now and play that game and have a great time. In 10 years, in 15 years, am I going to be able to do it with the one that they have right now? No, the servers aren't going to be up in 10 years. I guarantee they're not. They're probably not going to be up in 5 years. I'm sorry, this turned into a rant.
That's okay. That's all right.
This is a big pet peeve of mine.
It's a huge pet, not just with you, but with gamers in general. And that's one of the huge problems I have with anything EA puts out, because it's not just confined to SimCity.
Well, like, I have no problem if you have online as a vital component of your game. The difference is the game has to be playable without online. Even if it's a downgraded version, even if you don't get all of the bonuses, it has to be playable without the internet. If it is only playable with the internet, that is when you get my scorn.
That I found out purely by accident that Mass Effect falls into the your withering scorn category, because there was one Mass Effect 2. I was playing single player, and there was one particular instance where our internet was down because Time Warner Cable was having issues. And I wanted to play some Mass Effect 2, and when I tried to load it up, I couldn't. I was not allowed to because it needed to phone home.
That is just...
The game would not play. It needed to phone home.
They know that this isn't what gamers want. All of the companies know this. But they want to try to push it because it benefits them. And they think that if they keep pushing it, eventually the fans will learn to accept it. And maybe they're right. Maybe I'm going to be left in the dust. But you want to know what? Out of all the systems sitting on my shelf right now, the only one of them connected to the internet is my Wii. And that's not for multiplayer gaming, and it's not for any online games. It's so I can buy old games on the virtual console.
Which was one of my primary reasons for buying a Wii in the first place.
Exactly.
There is still a market for the older games, and
like Earthbound.
Yes.
By the way, for all of the fans who just played Earthbound, let us know what you think about it and how good it was. Thank you.
Yeah, shameless plug. So we'll shift gears now to shift away from the games.
Can I bring up one more thing?
You can bring up one more thing.
Because we talked about our favorite games up till now, we talked about the crappiest games up till now. Are there any games that are still to come out this year that you guys are looking forward to? Because I have one.
For me, let me go back to my list here. A lot of the games that are slated for there's for me just one, and that's Watch Dogs.
Okay.
For me, that's Watch.
Explain why Watch Dogs is awesome to somebody who's never heard of the game before.
It's a
Like
new
me.
it's a new IP. I mean, a lot from this on a personal level. The fact that we're getting a new IP is mind-blowing. I mean, and I've brought this up many, many times. You know, I'm starving for new ideas out of these AAA developers. Instead of just, sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. Watch Dogs is basically, it's an open world game. It's like action, adventure, stealth.
Okay.
Which I don't mind, stealth video games. I played Metal Gear Solid.
You mean you played the Hide in Box, the game?
Hide in Box, the game. Basically, I'll just give you the brief the rundown according to Wiki, because I think it explains it better than I would. As I said, it's an open world action adventure stealth game. You control a character who can hack into various electronic devices tied to the city's central operating system. And that is how you solve objectives in the game. For example, you can hack into people's phones to steal money, retrieve info, triggering malfunctions in equipment.
Okay. This sounds interesting.
Combat involves, obviously stealth components, and they also add a bit of parkour.
Okay, parkour is badass.
So,
I've seen parkour in real life. That shit is crazy.
So I'm thinking, what is this? Part Metal Gear, part Matrix, part Prince of Persia.
Okay, this definitely sounds interesting.
And
you've intrigued me, sir.
But that's really the one I'm looking forward to the most, because it's most of the game releases for the holidays are going to be, by and large, for the next-gen consoles. I do not own a 3DS. I know that the A Link Between Worlds is on the horizon.
I'm totally going to be talking about that later on, just so you know. What I was going to bring up for a game that arguably is still coming out this year, that I'm looking forward to, is Oddworld New and Tasty.
Yes, I heard that the Oddworld franchise is getting some love again.
The Oddworld franchise is getting a lot of love again. The Oddworld New and Tasty is going to be a complete redoing of the original Abe's Odyssey. And I've heard Abe's Exodus. It's supposed to be both of them. But you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. But at the very least, it's a complete redoing of the original game, Abe's Odyssey. It's going to be released on all the systems. It originally was scheduled to be out by this date. It has been pushed back. I believe it's still coming out in December for one of the systems, but it's going to be coming out early next year for the PlayStation 4.
Yes, that I did know.
But I'm so looking forward to this. As you know, Brian, we've told you you need to play these games, so maybe this will be a way to get you to play them.
Well, it'll be on the PlayStation Network, so that is probably the way I will access it. I'm very amused that this doesn't look like it's getting an Xbox release.
It's getting released on... Yes, but it's getting released on the OS X.
Oh, goody!
That shows their... Well, it's hilarious that it's getting a release on Linux, Microsoft, OS X, the PlayStation Network, and the Nintendo eShop, but the 360 is strangely missing. maybe it's because of the falling out that the company had with Microsoft.
You don't say.
Maybe. Maybe.
Just-
You know, what got them out of making games for like 8 years? Maybe? I don't know. But either way, I'm so glad to see Oddworld Inhabitants making games again. I'm so glad to see them, you know, doing more stuff with the world, because Oddworld is just such a glorious world. It has that really great sense of dark humor that you don't really see in games. It is very tongue-in-cheek at times, but it's just so endearing. And I'm upselling the game a lot. I think it's amazing. I'll let you guys continue to talk now. Yeah, if we need upselling, I'll get my wife on here. She'll talk about it.
You good little retail peon, you.
But for anybody who's listening, you can get the original games on Steam. So go and spend your money.
You know, the way you're telling our listeners to buy they're going to be bankrupt by the time.
They'll be bankrupt. They'll have a lot of good games to play in 2014.
I'm sure they will. So with that said, we'll shift gears into gaming industry's moments of 2013. And
you mean the cacophony of blunders?
Well, that's going to be on the worsts of 2013. Although I think maybe we should just come right out and say it. I think Microsoft takes the cake, all of it, for
Microsoft making mistakes so you don't have to.
I mean, just the whole way they handled not just the Xbox One launch, but then their bold-faced determination to rip gamers a new one, and then they've gone back on pretty much everything.
Microsoft had the brass balls to try to throw all of this at us, but then somebody castrated them and they backed off on every single thing.
The best analogy that I can come up with, and it's been said before, is that Microsoft is this generation's Sony. Because as we remember, when Sony unveiled the PS3, they were the ones, promising us the moon and saying that the system would be able to do this, and this, and then again went back on.
Yeah, well, here's the funny part. Something that people seem to have a little bit of amnesia about. Sony, when they originally were talking about the PS4, they talked about it being always on as one of the requirements. And they got a huge backlash. So they didn't do it.
I honestly don't remember that, but I believe you.
I can pull up the articles if you want, but they talked about it being always on. This is not like recently. This is when they were first talking about the PS4. And they got a huge backlash, and they backed off on it. And Microsoft, it seems like they just went, "Oh my god, that's a great idea! Sony's doing it, we need to get on this bandwagon now. We need to get on this bandwagon while it's hot." And then they jumped on the bandwagon, and Sony jumped off the bandwagon, and they just went straight ahead.
And left the wagon to fall off the cliff, apparently.
Yes, very much so.
So, I mean, because of all of the backtracking that Microsoft has done with the Xbox One, it seems to me, and again, I could be wrong, that there's now really not a whole lot of difference between the two systems.
Yes, but I'm going to ask you a question. How big was the difference between the Xbox 360 and the PS3, really?
Not much.
There really wasn't.
I mean, I haven't even owned my 360 for 2 years yet.
I was gonna say, I'm not trying to upsell them at all. I'm not saying this is necessarily a good or bad thing, but in the last generation, the Wii was the only one that really felt different. Whether it was a good difference or a bad difference, they did something unique. And then, so you had the unique system doing weird shit, And then you had the traditional game system, which is either the PS3 or the Xbox 360. Which I think is why, for a lot of my friends, it was they got a Wii, and then they got one of the other two systems. It didn't matter which one. Whichever one they cared more about last generation, it seemed like.
And for the longest time, that was what I had. I had a Wii and a PS3, and I only got the 360 a few less than 2 years ago, because at that point there were enough titles for that system that interested me. I mean, largely Mass Effect, because at the time Mass Effect 1 was not available on the PS3.
Well, the whole reason I ended up getting because I had a Wii, not at release, but pretty early on. But I had a Wii, and then we ended up picking up a 360 so we could play Final Fantasy 13. Or 12. 13? 13.
Be that as it may, I mean, and I think it's going to be like that again for the next generation now. Exclusivity between consoles is largely gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
basically, it's first-party titles are exclusive, and that's basically it. And the only company that makes a whole heck of a lot of first-party titles is Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. So
Sony and Microsoft each have a handful. And notice, not dissing their handful, because their handful tend to be strong titles. But like half of Nintendo's releases are exclusive because it's made by Nintendo.
Funny that it basically Nintendo cannot have Miyamoto die is what it boils down to, because
when Miyamoto dies, the Nintendo Corporation is going to retire and go on SSI.
That's pretty much it. It's all over for that point. Although I do have on one or two other bad moments in the industry, well, that really stuck out to me.
Yep.
The first one is not really bad so much, but kind of indifferent. The industry just kind of went, and that was the launch of the Ouya.
Yeah, a lot of people had high hopes on that.
I was one of them. I mean, I don't own an Ouya.
I'm still not even sure if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it.
I'm pretty sure it's Ouya.
It just sounds like a fighting move. Ouya! And, one of those things. So that was kind of, I had high hopes because, I mean, I really want indie games to take off. I do. And I thought that the Ouya would be a great way to go about that, but it's kind of been met with a sort of,
Well, I think it's hilarious what happened to them in E3.
Yes.
You heard about that?
Where they set up a booth outside.
They set up the booth across the street, and then the E3 people rented trailers to put in front of them. And then they got banners and hung them in front of the trailers.
Yes, I did.
This just seems like an old school cartoon.
Yeah, huh?
It seems like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck are just, putting stuff in front of each other.
Duck season, rabbit season.
Yes, that's exactly what it seems like. Like, that really seems like something like, really? That just happened?
The fact that the video game industry at large took offense to that was kind of laughable.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
One more bad that I will throw in is the well-publicized failed 2 Kickstarter attempts by Precursor Games to try to make a spiritual successor to Eternal Darkness. They tried twice and could not, and with great understanding why, because Silicon Knights, from which Precursor rose out of, is still run by the guy that drove Silicon Knights into the ground.
Well, they tried.
They tried, and there's just big piles of fail for Precursor Games and their 2 attempts to make Shadow of the Eternals. So,
on a side note, Mighty Number 9 vastly succeeded with over $4 million raised over Kickstarter.
Oh, you mean not Mega Man?
I mean not Mega Man. I am very excited for Not Mega Man. Not Mega Man might be my favorite game of 2014.
Not Mega Man should send a loud and strong message to Capcom saying,
You done fucked up when you fired the guy who made Mega Man.
basically. So,
I personally love that Inafune took offense at them canceling Mega Man Legends 3.
Yeah.
That put him in such... I honestly believe some of the stuff he said about that is part of why Mighty Number 9 took off as much as it did, because there's so many people that were behind that game, and every one of them got behind him after he basically called Capcom out on their bullshit.
Not Mega Man stands to do very well.
I hope it does. It looks like blast.
Did you contribute to that Kickstarter?
I did contribute. I will be getting a copy of the game when it comes out.
Excellent.
And you will definitely be hearing about it when it comes out.
I certainly expect to. And then we have some good, very good gaming moments of 2013. We mentioned that Microsoft basically took the entire fail award.
Well, when they take so much fail, everybody else can't help but succeed.
And so
tell Nintendo that.
My personal favorite gaming industry moment of 2013 was Sony's E3 press conference.
We aren't Microsoft. Done.
Yeah, basically take everything that Microsoft did and said and have said and did and did and said, and like,
I don't know what they would have done if they went on.
Invert it.
Yeah,
And that's what Sony's was.
Sony went on after Microsoft.
Yep.
Yes.
And
I'm pretty sure that they had a completely different speech written, and then Microsoft did what they did, and they went, "Don't need this anymore.
Like,
Throw that behind us."
We tossed this out.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Thank you.
and specifically the 30-second instructional video on how you share a PS4 game.
Yeah, that was genius.
That was probably I watched that so many times just for a chuckle.
Okay, yes, that was a gem.
that was the pivotal. That was the pinnacle, actually, the pinnacle moment right there, where it was like, I could almost see, Sony knew that they were going on after Microsoft, and I could only imagine Sony executives watching, Microsoft's press conference in a back room and something, and just going,
they're just like watching their stock go up and up as they're they get screwed for duck like dollar signs in their eyes.
I can only imagine, yeah, you're right, like a Sony exec just sliding down a pile of gold. I've got another one for you. Ronny, you actually mentioned, Mighty Number 9, which sounds like really just a larger the title just sounds like a much larger version of the D'Angelo sub.
Okay, I never made that connection before, but now I'm never going to be able to think otherwise.
Yeah, so...
And you'll always be hungry now.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear Mighty Number 9, I'll start to get hungry.
Yeah.
Everything I see about Mighty Number 9 just makes it look like it's the Mega Man game that I've always wanted.
But also on Kickstarter, there was another game that got very successful. It's a game I'm looking forward to, Project Phoenix.
Yes, that did get Kickstarter.
What is this one?
Project Phoenix is going to be a JRPG, and let me just pull up the Kickstarter page. It's basically going to be a JRPG that is made by former AAA game developers.
Okay.
Music is going to be done by Uematsu. This is going to be his first indie game.
Okay.
I mean, unless you count his work with Mistwalker, Lost Odyssey. But Project Phoenix only asked for $100,000. They got just over $1 million.
Nice.
So, and that is not that's just the money they raised on Kickstarter. They have their own separate PayPal if you wanted to contribute beyond...
A lot of places seem to be doing that now, because Mighty Number 9 did the same thing.
So they raised what, $4 million on Kickstarter, and then however much more.
They raised, I think, 3.8 million on Kickstarter, and they raised an extra 200,000 to reach the 4 million.
Because because I know that Kickstarter isn't available in a lot of countries.
Yep.
So.
And that's why they're doing it that way. Another one that got done on Kickstarter was the new Shantae game.
I didn't know about that.
Have you heard of the series before?
Yes, I have heard of the series, but I didn't know that there was a game, a Kickstarter.
Yep, it actually just ended like a week ago.
Oh.
Yeah, it's originally was its goal was 400,000 and it reached 775,000. So it cleared several of its stretch goals and looks like it's going to be a very good continuation to the series.
Excellent. Ron, did you have anything further to add? Gaming moments?
In terms of successes, personally speaking, I think the whole relaunch of Final Fantasy XIV was done well.
Okay, yep.
After the first week of them not having enough server capacity because there's so many people wanting to play their game, and they basically just took them a week to get new hardware in and do that. Once that was solved, the game was fine and it looked nice. It looked like a Final Fantasy game. I think this was an example. This is the exception of the rule. Once an MMO fails, it's dead. But I think Square can prove if you do it right and you know where you messed up and you spend the proper amount of time developing a game and don't try and rush it out, that you can get you can do something as good as this.
There you go. I have one other success and fail to end the half by. I'll do the fail first. And that was, and this happened pretty recently. This was at PAX Prime. You may or may not have heard about how the Penny Arcade guys just can't seem to shut their mouths.
What'd they say this time?
More of the same.
More of the same. They dredged back up the whole Dick Wolves controversy. Basically saying that they regretted pulling all of their Dick Wolves merchandise in sort of,
They really need to learn to take their heads out of their asses, and they've made a living being offensive, but which means they are and not everybody, but they're a couple of the people on Cracked where they don't seem to know where to draw the line, or that there is a line, and that's how they get in trouble.
If they can just shut their mouths, it was just I'm
not sure they're capable of that.
The thing that makes me upset about that is, comments like that make people uncomfortable going to things like PAX.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because I think video games are an all-encompassing medium.
Yes, but when you're going to something called the Penny Arcade Expo, even though it's become such a huge thing and becomes such a bigger thing, you have to remember where it came from.
Right.
And who it came from.
Mm-hmm.
And these people, and notice, I think they're good people. I really do. I think a lot of what they're doing is their brain not making a connection with their mouths. That is not taking back anything that they've said and how dickish it is. That's just saying that I think they really need to put that filter between their brain and their mouth that all of the rest of us had to learn to do, that they seem to have been able to live through their life without needing. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And one more successful gaming industry moment is certainly with me, is the fact that how much more esports have caught on. Oh my god!
Yep.
Things like Dota and What the hell was the one with the fighting competition?
Evo.
Evo. Thank you. And large.
It's like everywhere's becoming South Korea.
It's like the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of people willing to watch this stuff is just, it blows my mind. And it's like, hey, thank you, Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
For bringing this to the masses, as opposed to just isolated events. It's like, oh, hey, internet.
You had the Invitational 3, which was, like we mentioned, like 450,000 people watching it at one time. That's just from what Twitch could report on. I mean, there's a good chance there was like other people watching it too, like on different streaming sites like YouTube and Azubu and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then you just had the Season 3 World Championship for League of Legends just finished up a couple weeks ago. And that, I'm pretty sure that had just as many people, if not more so, watching it. So, and then they haven't released the numbers for what got watched yet, but they generally do. But it takes them like about a month or so to do so, which hasn't passed by just yet.
Yep.
But once those get released, I would expect it to be like the most watched event of 2013.
That will not surprise me in the slightest. So, any more thoughts on that before we cut to break?
Can I say one thing that I'm really excited for?
Yeah, go ahead.
That we don't have to talk about right now, but am I the... You know that I am personally not a fan of shooting games, first person or otherwise.
Right.
I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of online multiplayer games generally.
Right.
If my multiplayer, I like to have my friends sitting next to me. I am crazy excited for Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. It's everything I don't like, but it looks glorious. I want to play Sunflower and be a medic and then destroy them with my sunlight.
You and many, many other people. That's a series I haven't gotten into.
Have you heard of Garden Warfare?
Yes, I have.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes, I have.
And we can end on that.
Okay. So on our second half, we will talk about basically it's going to become more like a free play. We'll talk about anything we discussed on this year's episodes of downloadable content, anything new we'd like to add. We'll also talk about what we are looking forward to in terms of games for 2014. That will be on our second half. You'll get some music. We'll cut out. We'll also be right back. Welcome back to our season finale of downloadable content. The Rons are still here.
Somewhere.
Everywhere.
I don't know where I am. If you find me, please send me a message.
You're up there in a million pieces. And
If you see me, please point me east and send me on my way.
You're gonna reform as a Wonka bar.
I was gonna say Wonkavision.
It'll change the world. So, in this second half, it's going to be a little bit more like a free play sort of episode. If we wanted to have any points of discussion to further add on anything we brought up in any of the episodes of downloadable content this year, or if any one of us wants to bring up something new, and then we will get into what we're looking forward to games-wise for 2014. So, do you guys have anything to start off with?
Well, I was going to bring up A Link Between Worlds, but since you bring up we'll talk about the games later, I'll push that off.
Okay. Alrighty, Ron?
Let's see here.
Or should I start off?
Well, I'm trying to think.
I'm actually pulling up the list of downloadable contents for this year, and I'm just going to go down and see if there's anything that I have to say about them.
Okay, while you do that.
The Steam Machine boxes.
What are they?
That's like part of the whole.
It's like the Ouya.
It's like the Ouya thing.
Oh.
Steam is finally announced that they're going to get in on the console business and make consoles. Now the issue is that they're not making one console, but they're making like 5 different versions, each that can do various things.
Now wait a minute. Can you get... I mean, I have never used Steam, so I'm completely in the dark about it. Can you get Steam on the consoles currently, or is this just
PS3,
kind of.
I think you can, kind of.
There's an app on both of them, I think, but it's very buggy from my understanding.
Yeah.
So is this Steam console whatever basically just going to be Steam for your TV?
The Steam console is basically just going to be a computer that's designed to just play Steam. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It just hooks up to your computer. It hooks up to your TV, and you play Steam.
There's also the Steam controller, which they introduced, which is people are calling the Darth Vader controller. I will send Brian a link to the controller.
Yes, please. Because that might be actually get me to play games from Steam if I can access the Steam library from my TV.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hear not just you guys, but a lot of my friends who get games off of Steam and who also go broke when Steam has a sale. So,
That's the controller.
My reluctance to play games on my computer. This might be a nice little. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, you win.
What?
And there's Darth Vader.
I knew about this. That's okay, Deja. That is the Steam controller. For the
Compare and
Steam
contrast.
I'll tell you Yes, yes, I hear the Imperial March in my head. God damn it!
Yeah, compare Darth Vader face.
That's gonna be the startup music for this. Watch.
Oh my freaking god, that's terrible.
Yeah. Now the thing they're advertising with the controller is that it's 2 haptic sensors for like the 2 circle thingies. And like those are supposed to be like your analog sticks, I guess, or your directional keypad things.
That's what I figured. I figured they weren't just there to be googly eyes.
Yeah, they're not googly eyes. And then you got the buttons next to it, but it's just like I look at this controller and I look at it, how it's designed, and I'm like, this thing looks like an uncomfortable mess.
Well, it's still in development, correct?
No, this is what the controller is going to be.
Oh, so this is their final design.
That's their final design.
Dun, dun,
To our-
dun,
yeah.
dun, dun.
To what everyone knows about, this is the final design of the thing.
I have no idea why I have no idea how they thought this was a good idea.
The only thing I can see as a possible wrong, I like the fact actually that the two touchpad circular thingamabob Vader eye things are actually can be pretty nice because you don't have to worry about maybe slipping off an analog stick.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that, and they do press into, so you still get your L3 and R3s in that.
Okay, so that's not bad. My concern with that is just possible slipping off that and landing on one of those buttons. But
to me, it just looks more okay. I don't like playing like I have an emulator on my phone. Yes, I have an emulator. They can come hunt me down right now. And I don't like playing it because I have a touchscreen phone, and I don't like playing on the touchscreen where I have no tactile sensation of what I'm doing. And that's what this looks like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, look at the buttons for the like the A, B, and X and Y are placed. Like, you can't tell me that someone's going to be playing the game like a fast-paced action game is going to be able to hit those buttons while still moving around. There's no way someone can do that.
You'd be surprised. Gamers can adapt pretty well.
Yeah, but not that fast.
Well,
to me, this looks like a poorly designed controller.
Yes, I agree.
Just because it looks different doesn't mean it's a poorly designed controller. For example, one of the most
circles supposed to be buttons.
I'll explain to you this whole thing after. So a good controller that looks very weird to me was the original N64 controller.
oh,
It looked
good
weird,
God.
but for me it was comfortable.
Yes, once games started figuring out, the correct, more ergonomic ways to use the controller, then yes, I agree.
This, on the other hand, I don't see how this could ever be comfortable.
Yeah. And I mean, supposedly it actually is once you get used to it, at least according to Penny Arcade, because I think the Penny Arcade report people were able to sit down and play with the damn thing. But I don't know. This thing looks like a mess. I don't want to touch it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing I have an issue with for the Steam right now. That is, for an actual system, when they bring a game to the system, they're going to figure out how to fit their game to that controller. But that's not what Steam is. No company is trying to make their game work with Steam's controller. Steam's controller needs to be able to work with the widest range of games on Steam, or that's going to be a serious issue.
Here's a question. Games that you can purchase off of Steam, can they work with controllers that you plug into your PC?
Yes.
I use the Xbox 360 controller.
So what makes this so different?
Who knows if the Steam box will allow you to install the drivers to be able to use other controllers?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Because if games on Steam already can be played with other controllers hooked up to your computer, I don't see the difference how this controller would be any different. Might be something I'm missing, but I mean, I just don't see how.
To me, it seems like this was made to play Lego Star Wars.
It kind of looks like a Lego, so
that's what I'm saying. I think this was designed for Lego Star Wars, and the people who were designing the Steam controller were like, I don't know. I'm not really sure if I want to design anything today. I kind of just want to go home and eat pizza. Let's just design Darth Vader's head.
Yeah.
Okay, done. Let's go. We're done. We're done here.
it has to. With that controller, it has to have a startup sound of the Imperial March. It has to. I will feel let down if it doesn't.
If it doesn't, I'm pretty sure fans will modify it so that when the system starts up, that the Imperial March plays.
I mean, for fuck's sake, Sony got all pretentious, and you have a concert A when you boot up your PS3. So.
Mm-hmm.
So I've pulled up all of the downloadable contents for 2013. I think, if you don't mind, I'm just going to go up the list, see if we have anything to say.
Go ahead. I have a couple of things I would like to say.
I will start with episode 4, Rest in Peace, Nintendo Power.
Yes, you weren't on that episode. It was just myself and Doug.
I wanted to be on it so bad. I think they called me into work that day too. I want to bring up, did you guys mention the last Nestor comic?
Briefly.
That comic made me cry the first time I read it. You see the end of an era.
Yes.
I see 100% completion.
Yep.
I know I'm paraphrasing it terribly, but it's that single, like, those Nestor comics, I grew up on those. I read them I grew up on Nintendo Power. I owned that first issue of Nintendo Power. I read through. I loved all the comics. I loved the old Legend of Zelda comics they used to have. The Super Mario Brothers 3 comic, the Super Mario World, they did a short run of. But the Nestor comics, just throughout the whole thing. So seeing that last one, that just choked me up a little bit.
You're probably not the first. You're probably not the first.
It feels like reading the last Calvin and Hobbes comic.
I don't usually keep magazines lying around because they eventually get heavy and become a bitch to move.
Yeah.
But there are specific issues that I keep, and this is one of them. So yes, Nintendo Power went bye-bye at the beginning of this year, end of last year, and to this day we now no longer have any print media for Nintendo. I had a Game Informer subscription and a Nintendo Power subscription at the exact same time, so to balance out the bias.
Game Informer does do stuff with Nintendo.
They do.
Not often.
I know. And it's I get the perception from Game Informer that they are not really as friendly covering Nintendo as they are with Sony and Microsoft. They tend, just from the way they report things, that they are going to fap much harder for a Sony game or a Microsoft game than Nintendo. That's just my perception. That could be I could be completely making that up.
Well, you brought that up before, and I'll say this: I'm a Nintendo guy. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
I own a Nintendo system. It's like 2 years before I own any other system of that generation. I owned a Wii 2 years before I got a 360. I owned the sole exception would be the PS2. But every generation I have the Nintendo system long before any of the others. And I've had a subscription to Game Informer for years. And I've never really seen that bias. I mean, they cover all the big Nintendo titles that I expect them to. They get decent reviews. They get what I would expect them to get. I mean, once again, Game Informer is one of the ones that uses the scale of they rate a game between 6 and 10, which is why that 2 earlier was so surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, other than the issues that you have with any game magazine, with their inherent biases of individual people, I don't see an overarching bias against Nintendo. But once again, that's just me.
It's a perception thing.
Okay.
It also didn't help that there was one particular customer experience I had when I went into a GameStop, and this was a few years ago. I was picking up back when GameStop was still selling GameCube games.
Mm-hmm.
And I was picking up a pre-owned copy of Resident Evil 4 for my brother-in-law, and they almost kind of laughed me out of the store because I was buying a Nintendo a GameCube title.
That seems like that seems like an individual person who's just being a dick.
Yeah,
because I know one of the guys at our local one upsells a lot of Nintendo stuff.
So yeah, I mean, it depends on where you go and what transpires. So, but yes, Nintendo Power, the end of an era, and
it was an end of an era. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I mean that. Like I said, I was reading that since my childhood, and when I heard
Many
that
of
it
us
was
were.
going under, that was just like I know. Okay, I know that digital is the way of the future, and newspapers are going under, and ebooks are taking off hugely, and I don't think regular books are ever going to go away.
No, they're not.
But the sales are going down. And so much stuff is going online, and I know that's where, magazines are. Most of the people are getting their content on magazines. People aren't buying strategy guides anymore because we have GameFAQs, we have IGN, we have all these places to get all of our news from. That game magazines don't do that well anymore. But still, even knowing all of that intellectually, that doesn't get you past the emotional one of part of your childhood is dying.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. And I was more, there was a bit of an annoyance factor as well, because basically Nintendo Power went bye-bye because partially because Nintendo couldn't be arsed
Yeah.
to renew the contract they had with the publisher. So
Didn't the group that did Nintendo Power move on to do a Nintendo News website?
I actually don't know.
I think I heard something about that, or at least they were, but I don't think I heard anything about it afterwards. I should look into that after we get off the podcast.
Yes. So moving.
So the next one, Final Fantasy 25 Part 2.
Oh, let's.
This would be 4, 5, and 6. This would be SNES games, I think, right?
Yes.
Ryan, Ron, and Shauna.
Yeah, that was 4, 5, and 6.
I don't know what I could add to that other than they're amazing games.
And I just wanted to stick my 2 cents in there. They're amazing.
well, my wife, who's been on the podcast at least once before, and I played through Final Fantasy VI, hers for the first time, and it's just as good as I remember it. It's still an amazing game. It still has some of the best translations ever. Son of a submariner.
Oh, Western censorship.
Oh, Wolseleyisms.
Oh, goody.
As a slight aside, this is a very slight aside. In Final Fantasy 14, the MMO, like they have a bunch of like little in jokes referring to various other Final Fantasies. For example, you have Sid and Biggs and Wedge. They have a train on in the game that the enemies use, and one of the like important NPCs is making a joke about the train, because the train is called the Phantom Train. And she's like, now I know why it's called the Phantom Train, because no one would be caught dead riding the damn thing.
Okay, that's kind of awesome. Okay.
Oh, pun.
Next, we have PAX East 2013.
Yeah, you weren't there for that.
I know. I'm just going up the list of what ones we have in case any of us have something to say about it. I don't even know who the panel was because it's not listed here.
Oh, well, that means I've got to break open my master spreadsheet here.
I was going to say, most of these have the panel in the description. This one does not.
Well, hold on. Let me pull that one up.
I'm not even sure, like, without going back, because it's been long enough that I don't remember exactly what was announced at PAX East, as opposed to what was announced during different, both events and press conferences before and afterwards. So I'm not even sure what I would be discussing about that.
Oh, I don't remember that. And PAX consisted of Wyatt, Grendel, and Alton.
So that must have been a rather interesting panel.
It was just a recap because we had all gone to PAX and we were just basically recapping the con as it was. I'm going to jump way ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to jump to the episode where we talked about fan influences. So that'd be episode.
Okay.
That was 14. That was the one that it was just you and I, Ronnie.
The Fanatics influence.
Yes.
That was an interesting one.
There's some new information now that I've been carrying around in my head with regard to fan influences. We did mention that how fans could have a terrible influence on video games.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to extend that point further.
Okay.
Have you heard of the controversy surrounding the GameSpot review of Grand Theft Auto 5?
Not at all.
Okay.
I will look it up while you're talking.
Okay. It was reviewed by a female reviewer for GameSpot. And she had given it, I'm going to pull up the review now. Carolyn Pettit, that was her name. Yeah, they took the review down. But I've got another piece of info about it. Grand Theft Auto 5, as we all know, came out pretty recently, and this reviewer gave the game 9 out of 10. Now, I'm sure we're all agreed that if you any game that gets a 9 out of 10, that's pretty fucking good. Are we all in agreement there? 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 is very good. It's not a perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's damn close to it. There are some flaws in the game, but 9 out of 10 is an amazing score.
I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve its score, but 9 out of 10 isn't as good when you consider the fact that, as I said before, most game places tend to score 6 out of 10.
I'm just saying that on an objective level, if a game
I know.
If a game gets a 9 out of 10, that's pretty fucking good. The reason why it didn't get a 10 out of 10 was because this particular reviewer commented on the very apparent and blatant misogyny of the game. We all know that Grand Theft Auto as a franchise does not particularly put women in an appealing light.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of objectification of women in the Grand Theft Auto series.
It's one reason I'm not particularly attracted to the series.
But same here. But we all know that Grand Theft Auto, I mean, this is not particularly new for the franchise.
But that's also like, that's like calling professional wrestling out for violence.
Yeah.
I'm not belittling the review. I'm not one of the people who would freak out about it, but it's like you're calling it out for like something that is what the franchise is well known for. Like, what did you expect going into it?
Be that as it may. Be that as it may, the frickin' all the horrible, reprehensible bullying feedback.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading about right now.
Was absolutely atrocious. And I saw a video about this. Okay, there are already people who flip their shit when you don't give a game a 10 out of 10.
Well, okay, let me say something to this.
Okay.
In Grand Theft Auto, you're basically playing a villain protagonist. Even if you play the most altruistic version of the game that you can play, you're still a pretty shitty person.
Yes.
And if you play the way the game is meant for you to be played, you're a really shitty person.
Mm.
So why isn't that... So why would the blatant misogyny not be in the exact same category as killing the babies that you get points for? Like, you're playing a shitty person in this game. This is not the kind of person you're supposed to be using as a role model. At all. Like, everything... You could rate it a 1 out of 10 because of every terrible fucking thing that you do in that game. And it would be entirely justified.
The fact that she has been bullied...
That's the problem to me. That is a major issue.
For A, not giving the game an 11 out of 10.
And as I'm reading here, for the crime of being a woman reviewing games.
Yes. That is... This needs to stop.
Yeah, I agree with you.
This absolutely needs to stop. And this is why... This is one of those ticks I have against social media in regard to video games. I mean, it's already... I mean, the issue of, if the reviewer's opinion does not validate your opinion of the game, people already go apeshit over that. But then when you start with the bullying and the sexist comments,
Mm-hmm.
Video games are not a guys only club. They never have been.
They haven't been, as you said, ever, and especially nowadays. I mean, I think here's the issue. A lot of people are basing their thought process on statistics that have not been correct in 10 years. And it boggles my mind how every so often one of the news stations will pick up a story about a girl playing video games and make it out like it's a huge deal. And this happens like every 6 months. It's like this isn't this. There are lots of female gamers now. It's not like they're a rare dying breed.
Yeah, it's almost 50-50.
Yes, it is. And it's a cross between some people who still feel there's two different types of people here. You have the types of people who don't believe there's that many girls playing and that it's still that this is still their area, and bashing any girls who even think of getting involved. Then you have the other side who realize that it's 50-50 and they're threatened by it. And that's the other side of it. And that's, to me, the worst side of it. Because these are the people who tend to lash out the most. Because they don't want women invading their space. And I think this is entirely bizarre, but that's just me. I've never really understood it. Most of my friends growing up were female, so I've girl gamers surrounded me. So I really have never understood this part of the culture.
It's just horrible because, I mean, review scores aside, I mean, just the fact that she got, this poor reviewer got so bullied and with so much hate, not because, I mean, partially because she gave the game, a not perfect score, but because she was a woman. Just really, it's just like, okay, we need to cut this shit out. Video games are not an exclusive club. Maybe there's a point to be made. I mean, yes, there is misogyny in Grand Theft Auto. That's nothing new. But even...
Here's my biggest issue with Grand Theft Auto 5. It's not the blatant misogyny, because that's to be expected in Grand Theft Auto. My issue was every single piece of artwork for that game to advertise it has a picture of a very sexy woman that is getting arrested by a police officer, and she's not a playable character. Why is she not a playable character? Why is there not a female character to play? Yes, there's blatant misogyny. This game is about political correctness being thrown out the window. Why is there not a female equivalent in this game?
I thought the chicks in the ad was supposed to be a prostitute. That's what I was told.
But
Which there's plenty of them, right?
yeah, well, the major person being featured in every piece of artwork at every Walmart at every place is a female character that's not playable. Why is that? Why don't we have a female main character? Two can be just as terrible to the guys because that's what the game is about.
Would she kill hookers too?
Yes, Deja, she would probably kill hookers too.
I mean, there's isn't that sort of the point of Grand Theft Auto Online though? Is that you can make your own character, male or female, and then
Well, yeah, but Grand Theft Auto 5 has like 3 playable characters, right? And none of them are female?
Yeah. But online's supposed to give you the 4th one, and that can be male or female or whatever. I don't know. Like, I understand. I agree. There is some. I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto. There's misogyny in the game. I don't think it's necessarily right, but
You're playing terrible people. I accept that.
Yeah.
I think that the sexism, I would say, is the fact that they won't put a female character to play in the game for the female players to, and if, female players play. I generally play female characters in games, but I wish there was a female character in the game for people to choose. That's my more of a sexism issue than the misogyny in the game, because as I said, you're playing terrible people that kill babies.
Yeah.
They've jumped that fence already. You're playing the game for the killing babies and being a terrible person.
It's part of the game's appeal. I mean, it's partially why I'm not interested in it. But I mean,
it's like bashing an RPG for having leveling.
That's kind of on a tangential level what the negative feedback for Lost Odyssey was, is that it felt too much like an old that the JRPG ideas are too old and too dated.
Yeah, well, those people need to. I won't say it.
Well, they can lick my left nut, but
Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
Moving.
I didn't want to alienate your audience.
I don't think they'll be alienated by that. But I mean, it's just that the bullying that this reviewer got.
Going up the list, this actually goes right into the feminine side of gaming, which is another podcast you did.
Yes, I did all of them.
Yeah, with Brittany, Shauna, and Brian.
Yes, that was a fun one. And again, it's just we mentioned on that episode that if, to get more women involved in the industry, we need to. I mean, more women need to be directly involved in the making of games.
I think indie games are a great resource in this, because it's a way that they can get involved in the industry, and the big companies. It's going to take a long. They need to step forward and be more progressive. But if companies like Capcom or Konami have shown us anything, it's that they're going to fight it tooth and nail. So I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of women coming up through indie games.
Which was a point that was made in the LGBT episode.
Games for women made by women, because that's just starting to sound bad.
Yes, you recently did that. How did it go?
That was a very, very enlightening and educational episode for me. We had Kat, we had Tanya, who is the CEO of Kisarath Studios, and we had Sam, who runs the website gamersagainstbigotry.org. Very, very educational and very, very civil discussion. It was great.
One of those was my roommate.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask her all about it once we're off this.
So that was a lot of fun. So, and same thing holds true. To get more people involved, we need to get more people involved in the industry itself.
Well, it's exactly right. That's the important thing.
And, video games are not a guys-only club. They never have been, and that's just the way of it. So...
Okay, when I started playing video games, you want to know who owned the system that I played at? My grandmother. She had a regular Nintendo and played Tetris, and that's where I played my games. So yes, girls play, even older ones.
Excellent.
So next we have Final Fantasy 25 Part 3.
7, 8, and 9. You were,
Yes,
so you were on that. You and Deja were on that.
Yes, we were, and we talked at length about 7, 8, and 9.
And did you? Oh my god, that was a...
I'm not going to add anything, but do you guys want to?
No.
No.
We talked about that enough.
Okay, next. Mega Man.
Again.
Also known as not Mighty Number 9.
Yes, that. Exactly that. Yeah, although the anniversary ones, I think we've beaten enough.
That's fine. We'll skip over that one. I've already said my piece about Mighty Number 9. Though, actually, I will say one thing about this. Mega Man vs. Street Fighter. Very fun game.
I've never played it.
Yes, it was a fan game that Capcom then picked up from the fan, updated a bunch of stuff on it, and then released for free. You should go play it. It's very fun.
Well, good.
Okay, I'm like, did the thing drop out?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Super happy fun time. As the time is getting nigh, I think we should actually just shift gears into what we're looking forward to for 2014 in terms of games.
That's
Okay.
fine.
I'm sorry.
2014.
I can name a couple.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
you
people.
go ahead.
Yeah, Destiny,
Yeah.
which I'm just hoping. I'm really hoping it's not a Halo clone. I know it's being made by Bungie.
It's probably gonna. I think it's gonna be Halo-esque, but I think it's gonna be like a mix of Borderlands and Halo, which, if done right, is gonna be really awesome.
So Halo Land?
Yeah.
It's Halo Land.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that this is coming out this year, but Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds.
I know you've been wanting to talk about that, so I will give you a piece of the floor.
I have been waiting for this for... It's a direct sequel to a Legend of Zelda game. That very rarely happens. And it's a sequel to one of the best Legend of Zelda games they've ever made, A Link to the Past. I can see arguments that Ocarina of Time is better, but I will fight you in the street that this is the best one, that was the best one. And everything I see, every screenshot I watch, every video I watch, makes me want to throw my money at them right now and tell them, take my money and give me that game.
Do you have a 3DS?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
For this game?
No, I actually had a 3DS earlier than this because my DS broke. And I wanted to play games, so I had a choice of I could get another DS or the 3DS that was already out, so I picked up a 3DS. I was actually picked it up early enough to be involved in the ambassador program for being one of the original people. I got like 10 or 20 free games, something like that.
Oh yes, one of those.
Yes, I'm one of those people.
Yes, exactly.
I just watched probably about 10 minutes before we started this podcast. I watched the trailer for A Link Between Worlds and fangirled.
I hope you changed your clothes when
Yes,
Early.
yes. I changed my panties afterwards.
I don't want Deja being inconvenienced by just a pile of you everywhere.
Yes, I know. I stopped melting. But I know I'm not the only one excited about it. I know you must be enjoying this, Brian.
Well, I would if I had a 2DS or a 3DS.
Well, then you can play it on mine when we're at January something.
Anyway, I will probably end up in possession of either a 2 or 3DS before too long. So, let's see. I just had it. An indie game that I'm really looking forward to is the next one by Supergiant, which is a Transistor. Yes.
Transistor looks awesome. That's the one with the really, really weird looking sword that absorbs souls.
And the red-haired singer who is now mute.
Yep. That looks very interesting.
Personally, I'm looking forward to. Now, this was announced as third quarter 2014 Dragon Age Inquisition.
The Inquisition, here we go, the Inquisition, what a Okay.
Thank you, Ryan, for that musical number.
That's enough Mel Brooks for this episode.
Yeah.
There's never enough.
You can never have enough Mel Brooks. But, anyway, like, I like the Dragon Age games. I feel like 2 could have been done better than the original one, but I understand why they did some of the changes they did to make the console port easier. But I feel like for 3 that they're really gonna try and take advantage of the new system hardware for the PS4 and the Xbox One. So it should be a more faithful to like the original Dragon Age Origins in terms of like the combat play style, which I think is a good thing.
And it's going to come out for all systems, current gen and next gen.
Yes.
Minus the Nintendo systems.
Mm-hmm.
There is also, of course, we cannot forget Final Fantasy 13-3.
Lightning Returns, yep.
Yep. That's going to be for the current gen systems, PS3 and 360.
Correct. There's Infamous Second Son for the PS4. Which
yep.
should be interesting to see.
Dark Souls 2.
Yes, that's also been that's the current release date for it. They may change or may not.
If you want to really just break as many controllers as possible, go right ahead. Interesting point. I mean, Bayonetta is getting a sequel.
Yep.
However, it's going to be a Wii U exclusive.
Yep.
Which, I mean,
all the other systems.
I saw that at the E3 announcement, that the Nintendo Direct that they did, and I went, whoa! I mean, yay that the Wii U has something, third party.
It has some games now, yeah.
Third party exclusive, but I'm just like, whoa! Now I might need to get the first, because I mean that was a nice little game for them.
So, as you mentioned earlier, I tend to play a lot of indie games. I am looking forward to 2 games that are coming out. One very big one that we've talked about previously. January, Broken Age will be coming out.
Now, what's that?
It was originally called Double Fine Adventure. We talked about it when we talked about Kickstarter in one of the episodes. It was done by Tim Schafer.
Yes, I'm in the middle of playing a Double Fine game, Iron Brigade, at the moment. So.
Well, there you go. So you have an idea of who they are. They hit a Kickstarter record. I think when they did Broken Age, it was one of the highest funded games of all time. At the time, it's since been beaten. But it's Broken Age is notorious for it was in developmental hell afterwards. It was supposed to be out long before now. It had a lot of issues, but it's finally coming out. I'm a backer on it, so I will be getting a copy of that. Only like a year and a half afterwards or something like that. Also, another game that's going to be coming out hopefully this year. They don't have a set date, but they did say it should be coming out in 2014. Hero Fodder. Have I told you about Hero Fodder yet?
I don't recall.
Hero Fodder is about a slime that looks like it's from Dragon's Quest, who realizes that if he kills humans, he gets experience and levels up just like they do.
And his mentor
So-
is the welcome.
Yes, and he is going to try to save the monsters from the humans. As he watches as his village gets decimated by human adventurers passing by all the time.
Really?
And a very similar look-alike to the Welk from Final Fantasy VI is his mentor who teaches you how to fight at the beginning of the game. Your party will consist of a warrior from an ancient fallen race, a penguin. An ancient race of warriors who has since been subjugated by the humans because they're cute.
Okay.
You also have a living targeting dummy. The humans brought it to life so that they could try to hit a moving target. It has since gotten tired of being shot at with arrows and joins you. And then a baby dragon that wants to eat everything it sees.
Oh, good.
That's your party.
Oh, good. Excellent. That's beautiful.
It's very, very tongue-in-cheek.
It sounds it.
You should go and look at the trailer that they did for it. But I have been waiting for this game for so long. I cannot wait. You will definitely be hearing me talk about this as soon as it comes out. In fact, I'll probably be poking you to do a downloadable content on Kickstarter games next year when all this stuff comes out.
Personally speaking, I'm a little curious to see more about EverQuest Next.
I've never played EverQuest, but I know that was back in the day, or I don't know if it's still as popular now as
It's
it was.
still popular, but the reason why I'm curious for that is because they seem to be going more so for a world destruction type thing in terms of the environments are destructible as well as various other things, and also building up the environment. I know the latest Game Informer had a little bit of blurb about EverQuest Next, and the game is going for a very distinct art style. So I think it could be interesting. And they're saying they're describing it as the largest sandbox style MMO ever designed.
Interesting. There is a game I am looking forward to, and shockingly, so is my wife. And it's going to be a PS4 game. I suspect that if I do get a PS4 at some point in the next year, I'm definitely going to be getting this game. It is The Order 1886.
Okay.
That was the
Never-
steampunk London game, right?
Yes, this game is basically Victorian London steampunk. The premise is basically, or have they changed it? Because did they change it? Because before it was, Victorian steampunk, fighting off supernatural type creatures. Did they change the story detail? Yes, they did. It was just a few days ago that they brought more details about this game. It will be in the upcoming Game Informer. Basically, the first when I thought about it, I thought it was basically Ghostbusters in steampunk Victorian London.
That sounds like something I would buy now. Why haven't they done that yet?
Because it's still in development.
I know, but it's such a good idea. Why did they not do it 5 years ago?
Because we were still spewing out franchise spam.
Oh. So we were playing XX 2014, 2013, 2012, 2011, 2010?
Yeah, along those lines. Again,
Call of Duty Dead Horse Edition.
Basically, it's set. An old order of knights keep the world safe from half-breed monsters. It's right around Industrial Revolution sort of time frame historically.
Okay.
So April is interested in this game, and so it's
This sounds like she was the one writing the game.
and she'll be very disappointed if any of the things that happen in the game, are going on with a plot that she's writing or something like that.
I was gonna say, this sounds like it's right up her alley. And I mean, so much up her alley that it really feels like she had a hand in making this game.
I know some other games that are on the horizon that people are looking forward to. Titanfall, that's a first-person shooter.
Yep.
That I think
It looked almost interesting enough to get me interested.
it's an Xbox exclusive.
You're running around in giant mecha. That's half of the battle right there.
Yay! No. And then we have some Wii U games on the horizon that might actually make me want to buy the system. For example, Mario Kart 8. Because
Mario Kart 8 looks great.
I love Mario Kart as a franchise. And they're doing something different with this, in which now you can actually, like racetracks, you can race upside down.
Yeah, they have the magnetic wheels now, where you can turn them on and you can go upside down and up walls and into secret areas, right?
Things like that. Obviously, we have the
The new Super Smash Brothers.
Yes.
Mega Man is in it.
Not Mighty Number 9.
Not Mighty Number 9. Though, give it a couple years and not Mega Man will be in there.
Probably. But yes, Super Smash Brothers is probably going to be, if there's any game on the upcoming Wii U slate that's going to give them a nice infusion of cash, it's going to be that.
Well, and it has the most bat crap crazy new characters. You've heard who the new characters are, right?
I've heard of at least two. I've heard of Mega Man and I've heard of the Wii Fit Trainer.
You also have the Animal Crossing kid.
Yes, I did hear that.
But the Wii Fit Trainer, who does like yoga moves and kills you with them. I don't know whether that's lame or hilarious.
We're going to find out when the game comes out, because again, Super Smash Bros. Is an amazingly popular franchise.
It looks like they're doing it very tongue-in-cheek, which means it will probably be hilarious.
And for the RPG lovers, I've heard wonderful things about Tales of Xillia.
Well, it's part of the Tales of series, and the Tales of series tends to be one a lot of RPG fans enjoy. A friend of ours is obsessed with the Tales of series.
The Tales of Xillia 2, that's PS3, exclusively on PS3, along with Tales of Symphonia Chronicles.
I mean, heck, they have a convention in Japan just for the Tales of series.
We also have as of this point, tentative title. We have the next Xeno game.
Yes, we do.
Just a big fat red X, right?
Yep, right now the tentative title is X, but it is a Xeno game.
Well, let's cross our fingers.
Or X your fingers.
Yes, let's Xeno our fingers and.
Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright is getting ported over to the US finally.
Is it?
Yes. It will eventually show up somewhere in 2014 for 3DS.
Interesting. So, okay, of what we see here, of the current list, I think for a personal level, the games I'm looking forward to the most, The Order, the as yet untitled Xeno game. I think in 2014 is going to be the year I finally break down and buy a Wii U.
Yeah, that's probably going to end up being the same thing for us.
Yeah, same for me, probably.
Because most of the titles I want are Nintendo titles.
I just think most of the games that I want are either going to be on the Wii U or they're going to be getting a release on the 360 for at least a while. Because a lot of the next generation stuff is still getting a dual release.
Yes.
Which usually what makes me... okay, here's what normally makes me up and buy a new system. I'll usually get the Nintendo system a little while... not a little while after it's released, but sometime after it's released. And then I'll buy whatever system that the new Final Fantasy comes out on. That's what does it for me. So the fact that Lightning Returns is going to be on the Xbox 360 is a very good thing. Because I'll probably get that after I finish 13 and play 13-2.
I wish you luck.
Hey, I enjoyed 13. I didn't stop because of lack of interest.
I know.
I stopped due to lack of time.
I know. I have 13 too. It's leering at me.
I've heard that the battle system is much better in 13.
I have too. It's just I'm like
The story is atrocious from what I understand. I have no idea if that's true, but that's what I was told.
So, what games are you looking forward to, guys?
Here's a game that I really, really, really want to play, but it's really a 2-player game, so I probably will never pick it up. Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. Have you heard of this?
That sounds like a hentai.
It is it's going to be for the Wii U. I believe it's going to be a downloadable title. I don't think it's one you're going to buy in the stores. It doesn't say specifically. But it's this title where you're inside of this big spherical spacecraft, and you have ladders going up and down to different turrets and different control panels, and you have to fight off these aliens that are coming to destroy your ship while you're trying to save these other aliens. And it's a really fast-paced kind of action-y game where you have to run from different turrets, but it's made to be a 2-player game because you can't get to everything with just one person. It's a very, very team-oriented game.
Interesting.
It looks really awesome.
Interesting.
And it's got the kind of retro graphics, but with much it looks like it could have been done 20 years ago, but with much lower graphics. But it also looks awesome for the time. It's really hard to describe. You should take a look at it.
Yes, I'll continue to bankrupt myself even further.
That's fine. That was my job.
Excellent. Ron? Hello?
Did he go AFK?
My mic is muted. Sorry.
Again.
Again, yes. I'm looking forward to Dragon Age Inquisition. I will give Lightning Returns a try. I will mention Thief. It looks interesting. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick it up though. Dark Souls 2 I'll probably pick up. Let's see here. Destiny I'll give a try, assuming I like what I see from it. Outside of that, Super Smash Brothers, Transistor, X, the Xeno game, but that's about it.
Oh,
really.
I forgot to mention South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Well, that's supposed to be released at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a December release. Yeah.
So.
Do you really believe it's coming out this December?
It's possible.
Maybe I'm just negative.
You're not going to believe it until you actually see it in the store.
No,
that is correct.
Until it's in his system.
Like how gamers could not believe that Duke Nukem Forever actually came out until it was physically a reality.
No, it didn't. Those were empty cartridges.
Discs.
There's nothing there. I refuse to believe it. I've been hurt before.
So there we go. I mean, we've got definitely some games to look forward to. I mean, obviously we have plenty of games to play, and one important point that needs to be stressed is PS3 and 360 are not going away for a long time yet. So
even though all of them, including the Wii, are long past their lifespan,
they're still going. I mean, I still am of the opinion that the 360 and the PS3 are in their stride now. But be that as it may, the PS3 and the 360 are not going away, especially because I don't know too many people who are going to plunk down the money for the new consoles right out of the gate.
I got a question for you though. You think they're in their stride? Yet earlier you were the one who was going, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that all they can do are sequels because they're waiting for the new systems. They're not risking new IPs on the old systems.
That's true.
That's the end of the lifespan to me.
I mean, in terms of how well people are receiving them.
Oh, okay.
It's like the Wii had a huge burst of popularity, then fizzled out. I kind of felt that the PS3 and the 360 started off immensely in the Wii's shadow and finally are now the dominant consoles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And it took some years to get to that point.
The Wii still outsold them, so
Oh yeah,
by a nice margin.
So, be that as it may, I think we have done our year in review, end of year episode quite nicely. So, before I close it out, it remains for me to thank every single person who has been on downloadable content this year. That includes both of you guys. So, thank you very, very much for taking
Great
time out of your days off or your free time away from your consoles or your significant others to record with me.
I just wish I could be here more often. I really enjoy doing these.
And so we had a record number of people making their debuts this year of 24 episodes, 11 newbies.
Yay, fresh blood.
11 newbies, and they came back. So they didn't get run away. They didn't run off from you.
I don't smell that much. Okay, maybe I do.
So, and again, thank you to our listeners. I know I definitely have some out there. You're starting to get active on the Facebook page, and if my download stats are to be believed, I know there's a few hundred of you out there who listen to these things. So thank you very, very much. I really mean that. I mean, this is not for money. I don't do this as any sort of business. I do this because I love talking about video games with anyone who wants to listen and jump in with ideas of their own. So anybody feels like jumping in, contributing a topic for any episode, all good. Absolutely great.
I was gonna say, if I've proven anything, it's that you don't need to know anything about what you're talking about to contribute to this podcast.
So you're a politician then?
I can neither confirm nor deny the fact that I am a politician.
Well,
Probably the fifth.
well said, Ronny. So it remains. Doesn't remain for me to thank. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, I mean, when we finish this, we're not going to start season 4 until late January. So if you have ideas for discussion topics to start off the new season, you can let us know at facebook.com/downloadable content. You can go on Twitter and find us at DL Content. You can email us dlcontent1@gmail.com. You can leave comments in the YouTube section. All the episodes can be found on iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher. So there's a bunch of different ways you can make your thoughts heard, get them out there. So anyone out there listening, enjoying these podcasts, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, holiday, New Year, midwinter, whatever. Enjoy it.
Kwanzaa.
Solstice.
Whatever you celebrate or don't
Happy
celebrate.
Christmas, Kwanzaa.
Be that as it may, we will see you in late January when we begin Series 4 of downloadable content. So thank Ron and Ronny. I am Brian. Have a great holiday. Have a good New Year. Good midwinter. Have a good one, everybody.
優しい